everyone, I'm Alex Sams, and this is Lady Comic Book History, where we discuss female heroes, their evolution, and their impact on comics, comic book movies, and nerd culture in general. We are being brought to you by heroic girls using science fiction and media in the fight for gender equality. Okay guys, I am here to talk to you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. I had absolutely no idea where to start. I love listening to podcasts, and I knew I had a good idea for one, but I really didn't know how to get started with all the technical stuff. And Anchor makes it super, super easy. First of all, it's free, which is great when you're just starting out and you have no money to support your creative endeavors. Having free resources is amazing. And their creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or your phone. They have an app that makes it super easy to record everywhere. I have an adapter for my microphone that hooks into my phone, so I can literally record my podcast wherever I am, no matter what. Anchor also does all the heavy lifting for you. They distribute your podcast so it can be heard on all of the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more, which makes life so much easier. When there's someone handling the business distribution side of it, you get to focus on just creating, which is what I love to do. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. They handle all the sponsorship matching and everything for you. It's amazing. It's everything you need for your podcast all in one place. So if you are interested in executing your brilliant idea for a podcast, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Guys, seriously, it's the best decision you can make for your future podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lady Comic Book History. I have another very special guest for you guys today. We will be talking to Branden MCclure of the Fake Nerd podcast. So go ahead and go check them out. They also have a Fake Nerd Watches, and they are going through WandaVision right now, so they are going to be amazing to listen to if you want to catch up or discuss or look at fan theories and all of that. And today we tried to stay on topic, but you guys know the deal. I go on tangents, especially when I have people who know what they're talking about on. It's very hard to stay on topic, but we always circled back to the Spiderverse, so our topic was women in the Spiderverse, and we mostly stayed in it. So enjoy our comic book tangents. I will link his Instagram, his personal Instagram, and the Fake Nerd podcast so that you guys can all go check that out. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
Sorry, my hair's a little
okay.
messy.
No, you're good. Take 3. All right. So, Gwen Stacy, let's just start there. We'll cut out all the beginning part. I normally do, so my podcast goes year by year for female comic book characters, and I'm somewhere in the 70s, so I haven't really hit any of the Spiderverse yet, or at least the women of the Spiderverse. So I'll do the background stuff later, but what are your favorite Gwen Stacy comic book storylines?
Okay. I've read them all. I've been following the title since it started before Secret Wars.
Wow.
Yes. Let's see. The initial run was really good. That's just an initial five issue, kind of a mini, but it wasn't meant to be a mini. It's weird. There's
that happens a lot with female superheroes, as they get their own title and they weren't meant to be mini series, but they ended up being mini.
Well, Secret Wars with everything, so they relaunched it afterwards, which was nice. But
true.
Let's see. I really like her with Miles Morales. I thought that pairing worked really well. So there's a 4-issue kind of crossover between her and Miles Morales, where they jump through different multiverses where they've gotten together and have kids. And I found that to be very charming and really great. There's the Ghost Spider run, which I I didn't think I was going to like, but I did enjoy it. She's kind of dealing with the fact that she saw so many spider people die during Spider-Geddon, and kind of telling their loved ones that they, like, going through the multiverse, the one who can, and telling their loved ones that they've died. And I thought that was really powerful and really great.
Right. I think the first one, her story with Miles Morales might be a cool one to see, because I know they've already greenlit Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an interesting way to see the the expansion of their relationship. I think would be cool to see in Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Yeah.
But I really liked Death No More. Feels like kind of a all time, or Dead No More seems like that's like a major one she was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
As far as her with Peter, I think Powerless was probably a good alternate version of her, I guess. Because for those that don't know, there are about 8,000 alternate universes. There's more in DC, but Marvel uses their alternate universes a lot more concisely and easier to follow, for sure.
There is it depends on the continuity.
Well, that's true. They don't just create one every time they write themselves into a corner, DC. Mm-hmm. But she was also. I also thought it was interesting for most people that know Gwen Stacy know the night that Gwen Stacy died, mm-hmm. and that's the version and storyline that they are familiar with, which is why I think it's funny that those people also don't tend to know House of M. That's the exact inverse of what she's happy and married to Peter. And I think, first of all, Scarlet Witch is my favorite character of all time, so I will preach House of M on every podcast I do forever. But go read House of M if you like happy and not dead Gwen Stacy.
Did you read the Ultimate run with her?
I did.
I kind of like that she was Carnage. I don't know why.
First of all, I like when the symbiotes bond with anybody. I like it for some reason. That's one of my favorite corners of the Spider-Verse, mm-hmm. is especially when you bring in Deadpool.
Yeah.
Because they have both, and I know that they were in the renegotiations of Spider-Man as a property and Tom Holland, between Sony and Marvel. They were talking about how, okay, you can use him in bigger team movies and you can help be in charge of his solo movies, but we get him for Venom crossovers. I was like, mm-hmm. Cool, put him in a Deadpool crossover too, please. A Deadpool Venom crossover with Spider-Man is what I'm hoping for, because Deadpool bonds with multiple symbiotes, and I think that would be just great to try and see them do on screen.
Did you ever read Deadpool's Secret War?
Yes. I love all Deadpool comics, and I'll be entirely honest with you. My brother, who knows nothing about comic books, is the one that got me into Deadpool.
Okay.
He saw, I hadn't read any of his independent stuff pre his first film, and my brother was the one tracking the test footage on YouTube for forever.
Yeah.
And then his movie came out, and my brother, if he was a superhero, he would be Deadpool. He's a sarcastic little pain in the ass. And then I started reading, and then the team up with him and Spider-Man came out, and that's the first one I read. And then I had to go back and read all the rest of Deadpool's main stuff. But yeah, I will give my brother credit for that one. He gets one credit. And it's because he liked Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
I really liked Deadpool's Secret Wars because it was the stupid little thing where it's the reason why the Venom symbiote's crazy is because it bonded with Deadpool first.
Yes.
I thought that was just a really funny wrinkle.
I think that's amazing. And for anyone that reads Deadpool comics, it's on brand. It's right in line with everything else that Deadpool does, with the breaking of the fourth wall and the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe is one of my favorites.
That's a
just
good one.
because it's funny. Like, just,
Mhm.
and it pisses other fans off, which is why I also find great joy in that. I was like, guys, it's not real. Like, you're fine. They're like, yeah, but he wouldn't really be able to kill so and so. I was like, we get it. Okay, you're okay.
If the title is called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, you expect him to kill the Marvel
The
Universe.
Marvel Universe. All of your favorites, they're dead now.
Yeah.
And it's like increasingly more ridiculous ways, which I also found enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I think several people just lose their heads for whatever reason.
Anyway, we're talking about Spider-Verse.
In the
Not the
Marvel, yes,
Deadpoolverse.
okay. I go on lots of tangents.
I get it. I do too.
We stuck to the Spider-Verse mostly. That's relevant. So we are going to see Gwen Stacy again, supposedly, in the third Spider-Man movie. It's going to be Emma Stone, so I'm personally hoping we don't see Spider-Gwen yet.
Yeah.
But we're going to have the actual Mary Jane, MJ, and Gwen Stacy. So the likelihood that one of them puts on a spider suit it's not out of the realm of possibility. And if it's any of them, I'm hoping it's Zendaya's character.
I just don't understand, how can they fit all these. I get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I understand that. I understand you wanting to do that. I don't understand them and all their supporting cast.
That was my thing. As soon as like the villains from their respective movies started signing on, I'm like, okay, this is making less and less sense, guys. Like, I understand they might be going for like a Sinister Six because you've got half of them if you do, or a little bit more than half of them if you include the bad guys from Toby and Andrew's movies, but like, it's still forcing it. Like, it's getting too busy for me. And I trust Marvel. I will say that I said the same thing about both Civil War and Infinity War when I looked at the cast list. I was like, hey, well, not everyone is going to talk. Not everyone's going to be relevant, because if you make everyone relevant, the movie's going to be a mess. And they did great. Infinity War was a little bit choppy, but there was no way to fix that because everyone was in different places. So I get it. It was exactly the way it had to be. But the difference is not everyone's from this continuity. So as soon as you bring in the multiverse, things are already a little bit messier.
Yeah.
And you also have to consider that the casts from, or the movies that are being tied into weren't good. They weren't good. So like, what part of them are we acknowledging? How much of it is canon? How much of the movie are we taking up on this? Like,
I just feel like I trust Marvel. I don't trust Sony.
And they're too closely entwined right now. And when we left Spider-Man, his identity was just revealed. That's what 3 needs to focus on. That's what his movie needs to focus on. Not all this extra crap. Like, so.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to navigate that. I'm trying to trust in Marvel, but at the same time as I'm trying to trust in Marvel, I'm getting WandaVision, which I'm not super happy with.
Oh,
so
no, you're not? I'm so sorry to hear that.
And I will tell you, it's just because I have a very close emotional tie to Scarlet Witch, and in doing my podcast, I have uncovered a trope that a lot of overpowered female characters fall into, and that's them being emotionally and mentally unstable. And it's not just Scarlet Witch, it's also Jean Grey, Storm, Invisible Woman, approximately 15 characters in Marvel and 15 characters in DC, all women. And the linchpin in that, because I get a lot of comic book bro dudes throwing out how that applies to male characters as well, and it doesn't nearly to the same scale. But when a man is over emotional or leans into his emotions, first of all, that emotion is generally anger. It's never just instability. He retains access to the greater power he unlocked, whereas the female characters, when they're reduced to a stable state, lose access to the powers they unlocked. So instead of correcting the problematicness that existed in the source material, Marvel's leaning into it, and I am not happy with it.
We have talked about this on our. We have a spin-off podcast. I don't know if you know this, called Fake Nerds Watch. We are going through WandaVision right now.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because like nobody likes House of M, and
I love House of M.
I know that it has its fans, and like my co-host loves it too, and I liked it. It's just interesting to note that a lot of like the comic book fandom really doesn't, because Scarlet Witch fans specifically don't like what it did to Scarlet Witch, making her that kind of like crazy, emotional, unstable character.
I definitely understand that.
And I feel like Marvel knows that and wouldn't at least end the show with her being that kind of crazy, unstable character. I think what we're seeing right now is just kind of a journey of her dealing with the grief, and then afterwards everything will be fine.
Right. And I understand that, but it's also, I mean, she's going to be in Doctor Strange too, and they've already announced that they are going to have a showdown in Doctor Strange 2, which means she's not going to be completely calm and settled by the end of the show.
Oh, I don't hear that. I heard that Doctor Strange is going to mentor her.
They're going to have a little face-off, and it's his movie, so he's going to win, even though... And I know he's won in the comics, so before we go there, I know he's won in the comics, but if you look at their power set side by side, it makes no logical sense that he's won in the comics.
There's a saying I like. At the end of the day, they're going to fight for a bit, and then they'll be friends and fight the main bad guy. Like, they're both Avengers. They're not going to be evil.
Definitely. But, I mean... If we remember House of M, the entire lead-up was Doctor Strange and Professor X together could not contain Scarlet Witch. So the idea that him by himself is going to somehow contain her newfound powers is just also makes no sense to me and has its own problems. But
I trust in Marvel, and I think I trust in Elizabeth Olsen too. Like, I know she cares about this character a lot right now, so I don't know. We'll see.
I trust Lizzie. My thing is, as much as I would love to trust Marvel, and I do with so many things, they're just strictly talking about the MCU. Their treatment of female characters has not been their best. Sure. So, as much as I'd love to trust in Feige and trust in the process, and I get why male fans can do that. They haven't fucked up any of your characters greatly, whereas female characters, they have, and they have over and over again. So I'm cautiously optimistic for the end of the series, but more heavy on the cautious.
Yeah, all I can really do is hope. I totally understand where you're coming from, though. Like like as you said, I'm lucky that a lot of my favorite characters have been. Hold on, I'm a DC fan real quickly, so I should actually rephrase this.
I'm with you. I grew up on the DC cartoons.
Because like all my characters are really screwed up right now.
Well, yeah, but Snyder. Generally speaking, I'm a DC fan, but the live actions have made it very, very difficult to stay there.
I liked the first Wonder Woman film a lot, though.
Same. Everybody did. That's, I think, one we can agree on. They did great. Shazam liked because it was cheesy and campy, but if you read Shazam comics, that was super accurate. Shazam was great. Aquaman was not awful.
Oh, I love Aquaman.
Great, but it wasn't awful.
I love Aquaman.
I've never liked Aquaman as a character.
Sure.
Like, and to be fair, neither did they. They had to make him way more powerful than he was pre-New 52 in order to get anybody to care. He was not a waterbender, guys. He could talk to fish. That was about it. They had to make him a waterbender and Jason Momoa to get anyone to give a shit about this character, which is fair.
That was Mara. Mara was the waterbender.
Oh God. Amber Heard's a whole different issue, but I'm looking forward to the second one, provided they recast Mara.
We'll see what happens there.
Yeah. I love Jason Momoa, but won't be seeing it if they keep Amber Heard.
Sure.
Anyway, back to the Spiderverse. So we're gonna have 3 Spider-Verse women in one movie.
Yes.
I was really hoping to see, because my problem with I've always loved Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man's girlfriend more than Mary Jane.
Ever since I read Spider-Man Blue, I've been the same way.
And I think a lot of that stems from, more often than not, Mary Jane was just somewhat there for Spider-Man to save.
Mm-hmm.
She was very much a side character and a background character. And Gwen was a lot stronger, and I think was just a better match for Peter, because it came to down to a different area of his life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know a lot of people are partial to high school Spider-Man. I know a lot of people just think that's the worst version of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it a lot more in the film-wise. I don't really remember whether Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was supposed to be high school or college. Either way, he was too old to be playing Spider-Man.
College.
Yeah, either way, he was 30 when the movie started.
Yeah.
Either way, he was too old to be playing Spider-Man. The funniest scene in any movie ever for me is his mask getting ripped off. He's just a kid. I'm like, really? Where? He's like 45. What are you? what are you doing?
When he's like, when the guy's like, he's no older than my son. I was like, how old is your son?
How old are you? Like, what? But Mary Jane was Spider-Woman for a hot second. And Red, I don't think she's definitely not my favorite Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman is a legacy hero, for those who don't know. Lots of people have taken up the mantle of Spider-Woman.
It's been pretty stagnant lately, though, with Jessica.
Yeah. There's always going to be one that holds it longer, like Captain Marvel, which my favorite argument for the bro dudes that hate Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel is a guy. I was like, well, he hasn't been for like 70 years, but you're fine. In fact, it was 2 women before it was Carol, but all right. In fact, fun fact that I love tormenting men on the internet with lately is Carol Danvers has held Captain Marvel almost as long as Captain Marvel held the title of Captain Marvel. At
this point, yeah.
She's not giving it up anytime soon. So
it's such a stroke of genius making her Captain Marvel. I love it.
And it's gone. I like her as Captain Marvel more than I liked her as Miss Marvel. She had access to more power as Miss, but I feel like her as a character has developed more under Captain Marvel.
I agree with that.
Anyway, back to Spider-Woman. I think the likelihood of either Mary Jane, because they retroactively changed Zendaya's character to MJ after they got so much backlash over the idea of her being Mary Jane.
Yeah, it's Michelle Jones. What's her name?
Yeah, it's dumb. Whatever. Internet babies cry enough that they decided to change it. The intention was that she was going to be Mary Jane. But
yeah, what can you do?
I think we might see Zendaya's MJ as Spider-Woman at some point. I don't think it'll happen in the next one, but they did say when Tom Holland signed on that they were going to do like a Hogwarts approach to his storyline.
Sure.
So we're getting quite a few more Spider-Man movies.
Well, they have Silk already.
Yes.
Because she's in Homecoming. Her character Cindy Moon is in Homecoming, but doesn't line up with a comic book character, which is really weird. Right. And they're also going forward with a Silk movie anyway that won't have that actress.
Yeah, I heard they were doing some. I feel like the Spider-Verse. Wasn't the Spider-Verse also getting a mini series on Disney Plus?
No,
like a specific character. I thought. I don't know.
No, because Disney Plus can't have any of the Spider-Man properties.
Oh, right. Okay, they can only do movies because Sony has to be involved.
Yes, which is why you'll never see Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home on Disney Plus.
Yeah, That's really upsetting. All right, it's fine.
Just two of their
Sony
movies can't be on there.
Sony just needs to give up and give Disney Spider-Man, or Disney just needs to buy Sony, whatever.
They really do, though, because like Amy Pascal has been running the Spider-Man property for so long, and since Spider-Man: Homecoming, she has announced Venom, Morbius, Silk, Silver Sable, and Black Cat as one
Silver
movie, and then
Sable,
split them two.
That's the one I was thinking of, because Silver Sable's one of my favorites.
Yeah, she's getting a movie supposedly someday down the line. There's a Spider-Gwen movie that was, I think, tied to Into the Spider-Verse, so they're going to do a spin-off of that character. And
right.
it's just you got a good thing going with you got Into the Spider-Verse and you got the MCU stuff. Stop.
Yeah. You don't understand these properties enough for you to take control. So unless you're going to let Disney come in and fix it for you, don't. Yeah, that's my thing, is like, I love Silver Sable and I really want a live action Silver Sable anything, but I don't want them to screw it up. So
you know what would be great for live action Silver Sable? If she showed up in a Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
We don't need spin-offs of Craven. We just need them to be in a Spider-Man movie.
Hardcore agree right there. And I mean, eventually you could, because you could do Wild Pack at some point, but it doesn't need to be right off the bat.
Yeah, I hated Venom, the movie.
Really?
I don't think Venom works without Spider-Man. I don't think his origin story works without Spider-Man.
I will agree with that. For sure. They purposefully took him out of New York so that he wouldn't be tied to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could easily tie it back in. I don't know if they're going to, but I
think they want to.
I think they want to, but here's the thing with doing High School Spider-Man, because we talked about me wanting Deadpool to be coming into for a crossover for Spider-Man as well. But you can't do that with High School Spider-Man. You really need to wait till he's older.
Because Ryan Reynolds hanging out with a 19-year-old Peter Parker isn't great.
Yeah, it's not a good look. But also I think that might go for Venom as well. You might have to wait until he's older in order to cross those over, and I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to wait, because Tom Holland is their cash cow right now, and they're just trying to ride his coattails all the way to the bank. And I think they just need to expand on their animated. Into the Spider-Verse is perfect. Do number 2. And that's it. That's all you get. That's all you get to have.
I really like Into the Spider-Verse. Going back to Spider-Gwen, who is my favorite of the Spider characters.
Yes.
Seeing her in that movie was so cool, and I think she's so perfectly cast by Haley Steinfeld. But there's such an interesting look to that universe in the comics that they were able to transcribe really perfectly into the movie. Except there's a Dr. Octopus in that movie. Spider-Gwen is fighting Dr. Octopus when she is thrown through the portal, and it always fascinated me because there's no Dr. Octopus in her universe yet.
Right.
I'm so curious. Was that like intentional tease or something?
We need expansion for sure, and I think what was really cool about that movie specifically was the animation style was very comic book like.
Love the animation.
So it was like watching a comic book. It was so well done. But yeah, I definitely want to see more Spider-Gwen. I love Haley Steinfeld, so as soon as that casting came out, I'm like, yes, perfect. Yeah.
I love her supporting cast. Like she's with the Mary Janes right now. Mary Jane Watson is Carnage. Fun fact.
Yes.
Which is weird, but her being in a band, I love her supporting cast like the Bodega Bandit, who's like her arch nemesis, but actually her friend.
Right.
They just introduced the Human Torch and the Invisible Woman as villains, and I think that's really cool. They like pushed her out of her own universe. I want to see more of that kind of world in the next Spider-Verse film to see how they interpret other characters in that style of Earth 65. I think that'd be cool.
For sure. I definitely agree with that. I think what and at some point, I know it would be out of nowhere, but I would love it a lot, to do an A-Force like thing with just the women of the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you don't have to do all of them. That's a lot, but like just.
Well, they did a 3-issue miniseries. I think it was called Spider Women in the comics, so they could do something like that where they had Jessica Drew and Gwen Stacy and Cindy Moon all team up to fight the Earth 65 Cindy Moon. You could do something like that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And it wouldn't even have to be like a whole movie, but I think it would be cool in like an animated, like an Into the Spider-Verse style would be a perfect way to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could take the comic book storyline, or you could take I feel like they could do Into the Spider-Verse movies for a while. The perk of doing it animated is you have more options as far as storylines, and it's a lot easier, I feel like, to do the multiverse thing in animation than it is to do in live action.
Well, you can also change the main character every movie if you wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it would be cool if like these Spider Women banded together to go find or save or whatever, like Miles Morales or Peter Parker. It would be a good flip in the script, and I think it's about time for that. But I love the women of the Spider-Verse, so I think it would be cool to see them team up.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I know they were talking about either a Gwen Stacy one or just an all-female Spider-Verse movie. I don't remember which one it is. They talk about so much things over at Sony that I have no idea.
Oh, lots of things get tossed around. It's the ones that actually get made are like a fraction of what we hear rumors for.
I'm sure they still want to do that Aunt May secret agent movie.
Why? I'm sorry, but why? There's so much, and here's the thing is I complain about this with DC all the time because DC seems so focused on the Batverse for I don't know what reason. I think Batman is the most overrated superhero. I'm sorry, I will say that forever. We have 80 bajillion Batman movies, and we have a Joker movie, and there was an Alfred movie, and why? Do you understand how many other characters there are in the DC universe that are, way more interesting? Go make a movie about one of them.
Oh, I agree. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, and the only Green Lantern movie we got was crap, so.
Well, Green Lantern, and then you have the other color cores. Like, why are we focusing on Batman when we could go to outer space, focus on not only Green Lantern, but all of the other colors? They interact. We have mantras for them. Do it.
The DC line, it's not even DC, it's worse Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers knows that Batman makes a lot of money, so they want to put Batman in everything. That's why Batman v Superman was the Man of Steel sequel. There was no Man of Steel sequel. They were like, just put Batman in it.
But it was so bad.
Terrible movie. You want to really get Dude Grows at you and say it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's so funny because one of my best friends that's a pretty hardcore nerd. He is a hardcore Batman fan. Like that is his favorite. And I've also pointed out to him that the Batverse is probably the most sexist subsect of comic books. And we had this discussion and I laid out my evidence and he just looks at me for like 5 minutes. And he's like, okay, but I still like Batman. I was like, you can like it. You just, but acknowledge it has problems. Like,
that said, I do actually really like Batman's family. Stephanie Brown is my favorite Batgirl. I think she's wonderful. I like Cassandra Cain. Kate Kane is great. That's it. Nightwing.
I like Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
I like them when they're together. I don't understand why DC hasn't made them a couple yet.
They are in the comics.
They're not in the comics, and that pisses me off.
Harley's animated series.
Yes.
Harley's animated series. That's where it happened, finally.
Yeah.
But it's funny because those of us who read the comics and have been watching shiz since Batman's animated TV show with those two, we're like, yeah, they've been a couple forever. And DC's like, no, they haven't. We're like, yeah, but they have. Like,
I think now there's a new title coming out for Harley Quinn that I think will change that. I hope. They've been talking about how it's going to delve into the relationship between Harley and Poison Ivy. So hopefully
they should. they're like the healthiest relationship that exists in the Bat universe.
They're great. I love them.
And then, you know, Barbara Gordon, when she's not in the Bat universe, like Birds of Prey, Barbara Gordon, because, you know, you had to have a female comic book creator come save her after the Killing Joke.
I really like Oracle. I thought she was much better as Oracle
Oh,
than she was as Batgirl.
Love Oracle. Hate the Killing Joke. Like, with every fiber of my being, hate the Killing Joke.
Time is not looking favorably on that comic, I'll say.
No. Well, I hate the comic. What I hate more is fanboys of that comic, because even the author, Alan Moore, has said, I was not saying anything profound. There is no deep, like, theme or conversation or commentary about society in that. There was no point.
Yeah.
And comic book fanboys will tout it as, like, the height of literature. I was like, no. Like,
yeah, it's just one of those. It's the Zack Snyder approach. I always call it. It's the Zack Snyder approach, where you've read one or two Batman comics, and it's like the famous ones, like The Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke, and those are like that. You read those, and you're like, I'm a Batman fan. I understand everything about the world and Batman because I've read these two.
Those are also the fanboys that'll say, when you say something about, I don't know, going back to Batman's actual origins, and they're like, well, Batman doesn't kill. I was like, bud, read a comic book made before 10 years ago. Get it together. Yes, he does. Like,
I'll
Batman's kill count is high.
I'll actually fight that one. I'm a hard Batman no kill fan.
I would say the only reason that even came about was because the Comics Code Authority, not anything to do with his actual character.
I don't know, actually. I'd have to look into that. But certainly, like, I'll say, like, the Golden Age Batman he killed in the beginning, but like that was like 40 retcons ago. So,
well, okay, but DC retcons, I don't know, every 5 minutes or so. Like, it was, they had him killing with guns, and quite violently, until the Comics Code Authority said, "Hey, you can't do that. That's too gory," and they had to rein him in.
Now, you might not. It might have been the Adam West Batman series had a profound effect on Batman. That is still felt, and I think one of them is the no killing rule. But truthfully, I think in a world now, my whole thing about like Batman v Superman, like the argument for Batman killing is that why is Joker alive if Batman is okay with killing? There's no reason why Joker should be alive if Batman is okay with killing.
True. I'll give you that. Makes sense.
So that's my big thing. It's not something I'm like going to bat for. I don't.
Right.
I don't throw in opinions. I don't care.
Well, see, my thing with that is just the people that say Batman doesn't kill generally haven't read very many Batman comics. They know the origins that they grew up with, and that's where they stopped. Like,
But in every single movie, he's killed.
Exactly. Very, very, very true.
The Batman '89 film, he puts a grenade in someone's pants and smiles as it explodes.
That's awesome. Yep, I love that. That's great. With that, I've had a similar conversation regarding the Avengers. As someone goes, the Avengers don't kill. I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh no, the Avengers kill.
You're telling me that let's just go in chronological order here. You're telling me Steve didn't kill himself some Nazis in Avengers 1?
Yeah, I know that the Disney films lean away from it, but like the Avengers kill.
Just look at the fight scenes, though. There's no possible way all those bad guys came out alive. It's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, but that's always been the difference between Marvel and Marvel. Marvel doesn't have a no kill policy like DC does. Really, just like the Spider-Man, going back to the Spiderverse character, the Spiderverse characters won't kill.
Right. Right, and I think that's partly because of how young Peter Parker was when he got his powers. Mm-hmm. And he just couldn't wrap his head around that being something he was capable of. And I think the rest of the Spider-Verse characters kind of carry that with them. Yeah. Which is another reason why characters like Venom and Carnage are great to see with Spider-Man, because you get to see the other side of other side of it. Which is why I think it would be interesting to see that, which is an argument to bringing him into Venom before he's college aged. Just saying, kind of round out his innocence, which, I mean, we kind of saw him get rid of a little bit during Endgame.
Yeah, kind of. But those are like faceless monsters, though.
Right. When he goes back to being friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, it gets a little bit more real.
Yeah, he like going back to like the comics, though, the Spider-Man. There's a run called Superior Spider-Man where Dr. Octopus takes over Spider-Man's brain, and he punches someone's face off essentially, and realizes that Peter Parker has been holding back because Peter Parker is incredibly powerful, and so like incredibly strong, and so like Dr. Octopus is like, holy shit, this guy could have killed me at any minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool, like restraint for the character to like know that he could kill anyone with his bare hands, but like doesn't.
Right, and I love that part of his character because it's so like he's really just trying to help people to the extent of helping them, not actually inflict harm on anybody else.
Yeah.
He's a sweet little baby, which is also why I think Tom Holland is perfect.
I agree. I like Tom Holland a lot.
My argument has always been Andrew was a good Spider-Man. He was an okay Spider-Man. He wasn't a great Peter Parker. Toby was a good Peter Parker. He wasn't a good Spider-Man. Tom has a beautiful balance of both. Mm-hmm. And part of that is he grew up with the characters. He's loved the character since he was a little kid, so he truly understands what it takes to do both sides.
Yeah.
And I think the development his character has had. I understand a lot of people's problems with the MCU Spider-Man isn't even Tom. It's the way the MCU has decided to take his character. And I get that. I get it. I don't have a problem with it, but I get it.
The MCU is such a living organism at this point. The character arcs are going to vastly change from where the comics took them.
Well, and I think what people fail to grasp sometimes is Marvel has always been really good about blending storylines. They'll take 2 or 3 major storylines and then take things from 15 or 20 other comics and blend them together. And they do it very well. But their characterizations of the characters are always, for the men, spot on. They're like Captain America, page to screen, pretty damn close.
Is there any female character you like in the MCU? Do you think has been done well?
I love the MCU. I do.
Yeah.
I do. But as a woman, if I just didn't enjoy any aspect of media that contains sexism, I would live in a cave and not absorb anything. So
that's sad.
I love the MCU. I do. I just think they could be doing things better. For example, they rushed Captain Marvel, and they are aware that they rushed Captain Marvel, but in doing so, though I get the point of what her movie was trying to do, they did a detriment to her character. For me, what it felt like was the writing team had an intern Wikipedia Captain Marvel's character and then kind of regurgitate the gist to them. They didn't understand her. They didn't understand her power set or how to use it. She absorbs energy in that like final scene where she's talking to the powers that be or whatever. The Tesseract is right behind her and she's not absorbing energy from the Tesseract in order to break that. Okay, that's fine. That makes no sense whatsoever.
She can't break the Tesseract.
Well, like, but to break her from the little mind control that powers that be had, she could have absorbed power or absorbed energy from the Tesseract. That's
Are you excited for Captain Marvel 2 with Nia DaCosta directing?
Oh, absolutely. I am hopeful for where they're going to take her character. The other thing, I wasn't a big fan of the first Captain Marvel movie, but I will defend it to my dying day to any man on the internet that says he didn't like it.
To my dying breath.
Because that's the hill I die on. They're like, well, she's arrogant. I don't like her. I go, so's Tony Stark, Thor, and Star-Lord, but we don't seem to have a problem there now, do we? Okay, That's just saying. because I love Captain Marvel as a character, but she has, in her comic book days, have also fallen into very misogynistic storylines. Even the first one out the gate with her as Captain Marvel before Kelly Sue DeConnick took over, was her falling in love and leaving planet with her rapist. So clearly no women were consulted about that storyline. Like, I have problems with and then like Black Widow should have gotten her solo movie right around after Iron Man 2 came out.
Well, that was Ike Perlmutter, man. Like Ike Perlmutter is the sexist, racist, most horrible person alive, and he was just like, no, nobody wants a female-led superhero. Nobody wants a black-led superhero film. And finally, like Kevin Feige was like, screw you. I made it anyway.
Yeah, like I get it, but also she's dead in the continuity of the universe we're in. So the longer they delay her movie, the less I'm gonna care.
Well,
and
Florence Pugh coming back in Hawkeye.
I do love her very much.
Yeah.
But that's also my thing, is it's set. I wanted a Black Widow origin movie, and we got it set in between Infinity War and Endgame, or Civil War and Infinity War, and so I'm not getting the Red Room. I'm not getting the fact that she trained with Winter Soldier. No, none of that. That's fine. All right.
Well, they didn't in the MCU continuity. She didn't train with Winter Soldier. She's not 50 years old.
They could have made it work.
She's not because like 100 years old in the movies.
But he didn't age though, so they could have just brought him into the Red Room. Just reverse things a little bit. Like everything going on with WandaVision right now, the popular theory is that we're going to get a reverse House of M, her bringing in the mutants instead of expelling them.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It'd be cool, but I don't think so. I think it's too soon. They're not ready to bring in mutants yet.
When they bring in mutants, it'll be organic, and they'll probably have always been there.
Well, that's the thing with the multiverse, is it's very easy to make that happen as well. My hope is that they retcon it back so that she is Magneto's child, because that was the dumbest retcon in the history of Marvel retcons, and I refuse to acknowledge it as existing.
She's not in the comics. She's not a mutant. They call her the Pretender, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. She's Magneto's kid. Refuse to acknowledge anything to the contrary. That was a super dumb retcon, and I am not going along with it.
I get it. That was weird.
What I'm hoping for, see, Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange, that made sense. Scarlet Witch is going to be in it. These are the two people that control time and reality.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Multiverse and Spider-Man still doesn't make sense to me. Like, no matter how you do it,
it goes back to the Spider-Verse conversation, where it's just that Amy Pascal, who's been running the Spider-Man movies for so long, said, "Oh wow, Spider-Verse worked really well. Let's do that again with live action."
But that's not how it works.
But that's all. She's looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and said, "Oh, hey, we have all these Spider-Man characters. Let's do that, but with just Spider-Man characters."
Right.
And then let's just do the Spider-Verse movie, but in live action, and it will just be the same thing, right? That's the same thing. She doesn't give that.
I know, and I'm hoping Marvel can rein this in, and I have faith in them. I really do. I don't know. I am also cautiously optimistic for Spider-Man 3. It's just Sony having so much say over who is in the movie, I think really set Marvel up for failure. Yeah. And though I have faith they can fix it, I think it's going to be really dicey, and I don't think it's going to be a top-tier Marvel movie. I think it's going to be mid-tier at best.
Well, so far the Spider-Man films have had some of the best villains in the franchise, so maybe that'll change.
That was going to be my other question. Do you think with every other Spider-Man's villains being brought back in, do you think we're going to see a return of the Vulture?
I think Vulture and Mysterio both come back.
Well, we know Mysterio's not actually dead because that's not how it works.
Well, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is dead. But I think the guy from Iron Man, the guy from Christmas Story, is going to be the next Mysterio.
Interesting.
Because they set it up like it's like a character that they all made.
Right. Mysterio could easily come back, but my thing is like they really liked Jake Gyllenhaal and him and Tom got along really well. So do you think they're going to bring him back?
If they do, it's as a hologram.
Oh, that's kind of upsetting. I mean, I agree. I really liked Jake Gyllenhaal. That I think was a great casting decision.
I'm hopeful. I'm also hopeful for Spiderverse. Like I said, I've been reading every single Spider-Gwen title that's come out, even though it's frustrating as hell that the last two have just been 10-issue miniseries.
Right.
Now she doesn't even have a title. She has a 3-issue tie-in to King in Black, which I like, and it's cool, but like I want to explore more about her because now she's a Venom, and she doesn't actually have any powers right now. I want to get back into that. She's been expelled from her universe because of the Human Torch and the Invisible Woman. Like, come on.
Right.
Go back to that universe.
Well, I think what would be cool I agree with that. I think she needs her own title again.
A long running one, like a topper.
Yeah, that are more than just short runs.
Yeah.
But I think they might, because in the live action in the MCU, they're really leaning into Peter's relationship with his MJ.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've set themselves up really well to go the Gwen Stacy route when he graduates high school. And I think it would be kind of cool if they jumped straight into Spider-Gwen and didn't take time to develop that. Like, she's Spider-Gwen before she officially meets Peter.
Oh, so you're saying in the Spider-Man movies,
yeah,
they introduce Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen and not just as Gwen Stacy?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Playing with the universe, they don't do that enough.
And I think it's something they've set themselves up for, in the sense that we didn't get a Spider-Man origin story. We didn't get a Black Panther origin story. We just jumped right into the universe. And I think they need to give the female heroes of that universe the same deference. I don't think we need to sit through a Gwen Stacy origin, because also she's a side character in Peter's world. So as far as Spider-Man movies go, I don't think we would get a Spider-Gwen origin. It would just be like, hey, she's Spider-Gwen now, so you might as well just jump right into it.
Sure, I got that. Yeah, more spiders in the
more spiders,
MCU.
For sure. I think they need, and also we've kind of already established in MCU Spider-Man, and though it's good character development for him, he's always needed help.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Tony's gone, I think this would be the perfect time to bring more spiders into
I hate the fact that he always needs a mentor, because he's getting Doctor Strange in the next movie. I'm like, come on, guys. Just make a Spider-Man movie. How hard is it to make a Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, and I think part of that is that I think they're leaning too far into his age, and I don't think he needs a mentor now. I think he needs his friends, and bringing more spiders into that would be a perfect way to sub out having a mentor, because we watched him have a mentor. We also know every time he has a mentor, they die. So like, maybe give that trope a rest for a minute.
Well, Nick Fury didn't die.
Well, yeah, Nick Fury wasn't really a mentor, though. He was just kind of there telling him what to do.
Oh, I should say it's Talos didn't die, because it wasn't actually Nick Fury.
Yeah, that's the other storyline I'm waiting for them to officially pay off.
Secret Invasion coming to Disney Plus next year sometime, maybe.
Yeah, because I personally love that storyline and would love to see them do it properly. So I'm down for Secret Invasion. We'll see how they pay it off. because then you're left with the question, how long have they been on Earth, and
I think they're
who else is undercover?
They're going a little smaller with Secret Invasion this time around, which I actually think is a good idea because we don't need another Endgame level movie.
Not right now, not for sure. They need to do another like build up for something like that.
I think it's the Young Avengers.
I agree. I was hoping it was going to be House of M, but it does not look like that's what I'm getting. Which is fine because I want House of M, but I don't want them to screw up House of M. So I would rather them not do it than rush it.
Yeah, we've got most of the Young Avengers coming, so I think we're saying I think the next Avengers movie will be Young Avengers. Because
Miss America is getting her own Disney Plus, correct?
No, she's in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Sure, why not?
She punches holes in the multiverse.
True. Camilla Khan, she is getting a series on Disney Plus.
Yep. Riri Williams getting a series on Disney Plus.
Then we have Wiccan and Speed were just born.
Yep.
And then
Cassie is of age. Kate Bishop is coming. Cassie Lang is of age to be Stature.
Yes, even though they recasted her, and I'm a little bit upset about it.
Twice.
Yeah, I'm actually really upset about it because there was no reason for that. Because the original actress was like, "Yeah, they never asked me." I was like, "Oh, fuck that!" Like,
I was actually I knew why they did it for Endgame because like she's not 5 years older. But by the time Quantumania comes out, they could have just been like, "Oh yeah, she's a proper age now."
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I get it, but. Like, the actress that played Cassie in Endgame would have been totally down, and they just decided to not cast her.
I'm not upset about that. I'm upset about the fact that the Cassie Lang from the first two Ant-Mans was recast.
Well, yeah, but she's still little.
No, but she won't be by the time the next Ant-Man movie comes out.
I mean, fair, but they needed her for Endgame.
I know, but you can recast it back. It doesn't have to recast again.
Well, it depends on when everything goes into development. I was upset that they recasted the actress from Endgame.
Yeah, that also sucks because they didn't approach her about
it. They also like straight up. She found out with everybody else who the casting was, and that's a little effed up. But I mean, that's right in line with Disney as a corporation, so I'm really not that surprised about it. It's just. It's a bit messed up.
Yeah. Okay, well. Any more Spider-Man stuff you want to talk about?
Yeah, we went on some excellent tangents, which is great because the last guest I had on my podcast, we had a specific like theme we were going to talk about, and I think we mentioned two things in relation to the theme. It ends up just being conversations about comic books, which is fine. No, I think that's good, and I have to go get ready for work. So,
well, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, thank you for. Well, I guess I technically hosted, but you recorded, so.
I'm Alexandria Sams, and for more comic book related content, check out my YouTube page as well as my vocalmedia.com. Just search my name in that creators bar. My Instagram is fangirlproductions13, and you can check out all of my work, my personal writing, articles, comic book stuff on ladycomicbookhistory.squarespace.com. This has been Lady Comic Book History, and I will talk to you guys next time.